their heads on this side of the mat. There's so many rules, I'm sorry. Just to have everyone's head be on one side, that would be helpful. And then eventually you'll get up and turn back around. All right, so welcome. Thank you for being here with me. And I love the kind of residual rules from the COVID phase in the yoga studio, is that there is this honoring of the time before practice begins, where everybody comes into the room and kind of stays in silence. And then everybody leaves together at the end, and there's something really beautiful about this versus coming in late and rushing in. And it's actually always been my wish to be able to have a start of class time and an end of class time without too much back and forth. And so let's just kind of come into this place as a group where there is a common experience together that is honored. Take a breath in and a breath out. One more time, in and out. And just start to tap into the beauty of this few moments of silence before the beginning of practice. Where together we turn towards the peace that is always available. And the invitation is to experience silence as a presence, a palpable presence, rather than an absence of sound or an absence in general. Relax your face and relax your shoulders. And feel into your diaphragm and your belly. And let everything kind of droop down to the ground. Take a breath in and let it go again. Good, and now that we've centered our bodies, our minds, come back to our bellies and our hearts, we can just start to move the body a little to wake it up, to prepare it for more movement, but in a new way, in a conscious and mindful way. maybe extending the arms and maybe stretching them sideways. Letting kind of this waking up feeling like you're just getting out of bed and you're stretching. Good, and take another few stretches on your backs if you're lying down before eventually coming into a seated position. Take like the next minute or so, there's no rush. Bringing the palms to the heart space, maybe hands on the chest, maybe one over the belly. And just kind of thinking through that this practice is the only kind of form of exercise that I know of, at least, that's kind of a pretty hardcore exercise that actually takes the time to really tune in and continue to maintain that connection between heart, mind, and body throughout the exercise. There's something really, really beautiful about that. So just honoring the fact that we have found each other in this practice today, and then opening the practice together with the sacred sound of Om to mark the beginning of this experience together. Take a breath in and a breath out. Beginning with the sound of Om. Inhale. And as you open your eyes, take a little bit of time to just get into your wrist joints. Lubricating the wrist joints can help with maintaining safety around the wrists throughout the weight-bearing poses that we take in yoga. And also the shoulders. And a little bit goes a long way, so just a few circular motions. And after we've gotten into the shoulders and the wrists, there's the opportunity to get into the spine a little bit. I like to do this in table pose. There's other ways of doing it, but some flexion and extension of the spine is kind of a wonderful way to warm up the spine. And at some point, taking care of the neck as well, as it is an extension of the spine. So notice how we're really kind of taking care of this physical body in a way that feels organic in this phase of class. There's the movement that's coming from within in an authentic way, while at the same time taking really good care of the methodology of warming up the body. So starting to add in a little bit of side bending throughout the spine now, some lateral motions bending. You can draw the hip towards the right as you extend your right arm towards the left, just kind of elongating the side body. Doing it on both sides, while at the same time maybe coming back and taking some circular motions that also accesses the side body, circular hip motions, as well as the hips. And there really is a science or a kind of an art at the same time as a science, because you want to kind of tune into the felt experience of movement while at the same time being mindful of weight on your joints. Coming into a child pose to allow for a nice long extension of the spine and a release of the head on the ground. Notice how you feel now after you've moved a little bit and changed the perspective. Head down on the ground, weight of the forehead on the ground. Letting go of all of the emotional weight that's being carried, letting it go to the ground. Reconnecting with the breath and silence. I might walk around today and provide some healing touch or some adjustments, but if you'd rather not be assisted today, please raise your hand so that I can honor your space. Thank you. Let's come on back up into a table pose. Curling toes under to extend your hips up and back in a downward dog. Notice how when you extend through the legs, there's the sensation that everything is kind of connected. From the heel all the way back up to the shoulders, there's this connective tissue. And maybe some bending and extending of each leg can help loosen it up a little bit. Start to play around with some more organic motions. Start to walk your hands back towards your feet to come into a little bit of a forward fold. And take your toes sideways so that the heels are in, toes are out. And bend and extend a couple of times, coming into a little bit of a yogi squat. And then reestablish the placement of the toes and walk the hands forward again to come into a downward facing dog. Shift your weight forward in a plank pose to get access to your core now. Feel into this activity of the hands pressing the floor away and the length of the crown of the head forward as the heels press back. And see if you can start to develop some kind of appreciation for this pose, where you're not in it because you can't wait to get out of it, but you're in it because you're strengthening your upper body and your core center. Release the knees to the ground and dial those elbows in towards the midline as you lower down in a small push-up and press back up. Maybe a few of those. And we'll all land fully on the ground and re-extend those legs back. Take your elbows forward Facing sideways in the mat, lowermost ribs are still on the ground. Open your heart and just look side to side a little. Activate the feet, the shoelace sides of the feet into the ground a lot. Engage your glutes and your pelvic floor, and then draw the sternum forward and up a little more. From here, lift the elbows for baby cobra and see if you can kind of still feel your lowermost ribs on the ground as your legs are super engaged. Pressing back to a plank pose if you wish, with the knees on the ground or not, and back to your downward dog. Circle the head around, loosen up around the neck and the jaw muscles. Take a breath in as the right leg rises to the sky. With the breath out, bring your knee to the chest and curl it. Do it again 2 more times. Last time. Good. Step it forward. Come into a runner lunge. And take a twist to your right. So opening it up with the in-breath. With the out-breath, release the arm down. And then open it back up. Inhale. And exhale. 2 more times. Last time, inhale. With the exhale, release. Dial the back heel down to find your warrior 2. Establish the circling of the wrists a little bit here to get back into the wrist joints, and start to extend the front leg as you reverse your warrior with the in-breath. And with the out-breath, come into a side angle and alternate between the two for a bit. Just accessing the side body. Inhale, extend, and exhale, bend. Let's do that 2 more times. In and out. So in this phase of class, we are using repetitive motions in different joints areas to continue to really warm up the body. 1 more breath in as you reverse. With the exhale, coming back to a runner lunge and step back in a downward dog. Nice length of the spine with the breath in. As you breathe out, shift forward to plank. If you like those push-ups with the knees down, do that again. Otherwise, maybe you keep the knees lifted and come down to Chaturanga Dandasana, holding for a moment or 2 before upward facing dog. If you came all the way down to the ground, we'll do cobra again. Breath in and breath out, downward dog. The left leg rises up, in breath. Out breath, knee to the chest, curl it. 2 more times. Stepping forward into that runner lunge to take the repetitive twisting motions, setting up your right hand under your right shoulder, inhaling, and on the exhale, releasing down. 3 more times. As you exhale, come into your warrior 2. And start to alternate between the motions of a reverse triangle and a side angle. One more in-breath as you reverse. With the out-breath, cartwheeling the hands through, coming into a runner lunge, and back to a downward facing dog. Breath in, and breath out. And let's take it to plank one more time. Either a few push-ups before your heart opener, or not, taking your vinyasa through to downward facing dog. Three long in breaths and out breaths. Release those shoulders, nice. Two more breaths together. Let go of your torso. Yes. And slowly start to walk your feet forward to come into a forward fold. You can let the body rest there for a moment, maybe even grabbing a hold of opposite elbows. Feel the weight of the head, the weight of the torso. And notice what happens when you slightly bend the knees and extend the knees, and how there might be a place where the knees are micro bent, the feet are active in the ground, and you're not pulling or yanking on your hamstrings in any way. You're aware of the belly of the muscle versus the attachment points behind the knee and right at the sits bones, and kind of taking care of those attachment points in order not to pull anything. And this is where the mindfulness really comes in, is this beautiful practice that allows us to take care of our bodies while we strengthen it in a slow, mindful way. Roll up a little bit at a time. You might place hands on thighs. It feels good for me to do that as I come up. And we open up the heart, reach the arms overhead, breath in. With the breath out, bow again in a forward fold. In for a halfway lift. Out as you plant your palms and step back to a plank pose. Maybe this time you hold your plank the whole time before downward dog, or you take a vinyasa through, taking it in and out. Let the body feel the difference now between your first downward facing dog and now. And see if those shoulders can release down the back as much as they're willing. Take your right leg up to the sky with the in-breath. And bend the knee to dial the hip open as you activate your right hand more fully into the earth. Re-square the hips with the in-breath, and with the out-breath, bring the knee towards the chest and step the foot forward to come into Warrior One. As you dial the back heel down, the feet are hip distance apart. We're going to take a humble warrior together. Maybe the hands stack on the sacrum, or you interlace the hands behind the back, finding a heart opener in breath. With the out breath, hinge forward and let the hovering happen, or a bowing more forward to happen, without shifting your weight to the right side. Slowly release the hands as you rise back up into your Warrior One. Two arms reach overhead, breath in. With the breath out, palms come to heart space. And you shift your weight more fully into that front leg, coming onto the tip of the toe in the back leg. So we haven't left the ground, but all of your weight is in that front leg, feeling your right glute muscle really, really active in the ground. For 3, 2, 1. Stay active in your foot as you slowly take that left leg and lift it upwards into balance. Notice how when your gaze is on the ground a few feet from you, there's a bit more of a potential to maintain this balance. Now I want you to soften your gaze, but not too much. And at the same time, be really focused, but not overly so that you're tensing up. That place in the middle. For 3, 2, and 1. We're going to slowly land back in a warrior 1 and gracefully land that back foot down. Eventually, opening it up to a reverse triangle like we did before. So that front leg is going to expand and you'll reverse it with the in-breath. And kind of hold that nice little length around the side body. Breath in. And breath out. One more time. Coming through into a side angle lunge, allow the body to come into the pose slowly, elongating through the left side body. As you dial that right hip down a little bit more and lift yourself just a slightly bit upward. Beautiful. Taking it in and out. One more time. And come on back up into a warrior 2 and slowly set up your feet so that you're ready for a wide-legged forward fold. Activate the feet firmly into the earth, and then as they are active, pressing into the ground and stretching the mat apart, start to bow forward, taking all of that pressure off of your lower back as you bow. Again, become aware of the attachment point of behind the knees and notice if there's any yanking that's happening there. And if there is a way to kind of micro bend through the knees a bit more so that there isn't too much pulling. Take a breath in together. With the breath out, slowly start to walk your hands back towards your right foot. Come into a runner lunge. And from this runner lunge, activate both feet into the ground firmly. And lift your chest and hover. You know, it gets confusing when you're in the front row. Let there be this activity of the fingertips drawing back while your shoulders are relaxed. And from here, take a twist, but a different kind of twist. Either your elbow comes up and over the thigh, or your forearm or your wrists as you open up to the side. A little bit of a deeper twist. Good job. Deep in-breath. With the out-breath, release the hands and come into a 3-legged dog, maybe a flip dog. if it's available to your body. Come back through to the center. Find a downward facing dog with the inhale. The exhale, shift forward for plank pose. Holding plank for 8 breaths. You're gonna either come on down onto your forearms or hold it in a plank pose. Five more. If you're starting to shake, then know that that's making you stronger. One more in-breath. Lower down the hips. Open the heart. Start with the lowermost ribs on the ground as you open. Then reach those arms sideways and lift your legs too for locust pose. Squeeze those upper back muscles and elongate the legs some more. One more breath in. On the breath out, we're going to come back into a reverse push-up. Maybe the knees stay on the ground. And to downward facing dog. Deep breath in together. And let it go. And slowly the left leg rises up. You bend the knee to dial the hip open. As you square the hips, inhale, and with the exhale, knee to chest to step forward for warrior one. Establishing the feet hip distance apart. Establishing your weight in the front leg. And then preparing for your humble warrior. Breathe it in. On the breath out, hinge, forward, forward fold. Slowly rise back up for your warrior one. Reach the arms overhead. Feel the extension in the side body in. On the breath out, palms come to heart space. You shift your weight in the front leg onto the tippy toes in the back foot. Now, anytime we come into a balance pose like a warrior three, this could be your modification. It's a wonderful modification because it still has your whole weight in that front leg, strengthening it without worrying about the balance. We'll eventually drag the foot and lift the knee, holding, active in that foot, and working with the gaze, finding that soft yet firm gaze. Finding that soft yet long and mindful breath. And also finding the middle in your body. That place of not too much efforting, yet an alertness. We'll land gracefully back in a warrior one. And open it up to the side to elongate that front leg for a reverse triangle. So as you bend, keep your tailbone elongated down towards the ground and start to feel that kind of nice stretch. You can feel really good on the side body. Coming into a side angle lunge, finding your side angle. Your left arm could be further down to the ground, or your elbow can be on your thigh. If you can just firm up the edge of the back foot into the ground, nice. And keep that really active there. Deep breath in. And breath out. One more breath in together. And as you breathe out, come back up and find your way into a wide-legged stance. Before we go into a forward fold, I'd like you to consider a back bend here. Pressing the hips forward. Imagine there is a bar, a horizontal bar underneath your rib cage that you're trying to kind of surpass, to open up. Keep those hips pressed forward so that you don't collapse into your lower back. And then open up through the heart. Maybe you support your lower back with your hands. Keep pressing just a little bit more forward with the hips. Good. Inhale. And exhale. One more time. And on the way out, come back to the neutral position. Nice long spine. And bow forward in a forward fold. Take a moment or two to solidify your forward fold with the feet first. Feeling the firmness of the legs. And the firmer the bottom half of the body is, the more relaxed the upper body can be. Any variation is welcome. Notice the chatter, in the head. It's just always the hair. It's like this hovering kind of thought pattern that like whispers, like an echo. And start to develop a friendliness towards that voice, towards that chatter, so that it doesn't really take over, but in a way you're just aware of it and you're like, here you are again. But not really feeding it too much energy. Start to come up into a halfway lift, walking your hands towards your left foot. Coming in a runner lunge together, solidifying the feet hip distance apart. And from that place, rising up, hovering over your front leg to radiate that energy through the fingertips. Crown of the head is long. Shoulders are soft, arms are soft. And then taking it into that twist again, maybe forearm or wrist up and over the thigh or elbow. One more breath in. On the breath out, return back to center. Step back into a three-legged dog, potentially a flip dog again. Coming back through to your downward facing dog, breathe it in. With the breath out, shift forward to a plank pose. Hovering in a forearm plank. Actively press into the elbows and retract them back isometrically for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release the hips to the ground. And open your heart for locust pose again. Expand your arms sideways, lift your legs and fly. Two more breaths. And plant palms alongside your chest. Press up into that reverse push-up and back to your downward facing dog. Take it in together and let it go. Another 3 breaths in downward facing dog or a rest in a child pose. All of us will meet in a child pose for just another few breaths, resettling into the ground. And also allowing for a certain time to finding that balance and homeostasis in the body. Slowly rise back up and come back into your downward facing dog. Once you arrive, let there be this re-establishing of the firmness of the joints, but the release in the muscles. Do you feel that stress right here? All right, see if you can just draw the shoulders down a little bit more. Yes, that's good. That's going to take some of that. Take your time to bend the knees a lot, press your hips back, and walk or float forward in a forward fold. Slowly rise up to standing, a little bit at a time. And if you have a block or a water bottle, place that a few feet or 1 foot in front of your right foot. It's going to stay there. We're going to get to it. But for now, shift your weight into your left leg and reach your right knee up towards the sky. Circle the ankle through a little bit. And then find a dancer pose. We're going to bend the right knee, grab a hold of the ankle. Find a quad stretch, a nice elongation of the knee down towards the ground. Tuck the tailbone under. And once you've found that place of balance and connection, you can start to move forward in a dancer, hinging and pressing back at the same time while keeping your gaze on the ground firm. For 3, 2, and 1, come back and release the foot to the ground. Shift your weight into the other leg. And we're not coming into dancer on this side. We're coming to a different balance. Take your left knee up towards the chest and twist towards the left side. Maybe you stack your hand behind your sacrum, or you expand the left arm back. Maybe you even expand the left leg forward. From here, with mindfulness, we will transition into Ardha Chandrasana, half moon, maintaining a strong awareness of that point on the ground for drishti. And as you extend back, maybe the hand comes to that block or water bottle that you've placed there. Pull the navel in and up. And from here, we will land the foot to the back of the mat and turn to the other leg for warrior two. So now you're coming into your left leg for warrior two. Take it in and out. Find your triangle pose here. Start to hinge towards that leg. Grow really long in the right side body. Notice the activation in the back foot a little bit more. Then rise back up to stand and turn to find a goddess pose, heels in, toes out. Just find a mudra, taking your, what is this finger? The one right next to the pinky finger and your thumbs together. And see if you can kind of activate the thumb against that finger and sink a little bit deeper while the rest of the fingers are nice and active. Relax your shoulders a lot. Now I want you to tune in, if you close your eyes, to tune in what the activation of the thumb and the finger does in your system, and the releasing of the tension and the activation again. And the release. And then take it to the middle finger. And just kind of playing around with pressing and releasing. Trying to take your mind off of your legs and really pay attention to your fingers. And same with the index finger and the thumb. Wonderful. Good. Rise out of the pose and turn back to the front of the room, preparing yourself for Parshvottanasana. So here we're going to have those feet be hip distance apart still. Both feet facing forward. Actively pressing into both feet like we did in that forward fold, remember? And then hinging from that place of connection with the ground, elongating the spine and hinging forward into Parshvottanasana. From here, we're going to take it into a revolved half moon. So if you have a block, great. Come up into a halfway lift, grab the bottle or the block with your left hand, and then shift your weight into that front leg, lifting the left leg off the ground. Maybe this is where you stay and the balance here is really strong. Maybe you twist towards your right side to the mirror. For 3, 2, 1. Release the feet on the ground. Come into a fold. And rise all the way up to standing. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, bow, forward fold. In a half lift. Out of vinyasa through to downward dog. We're going to do the other side, but before that, a quick core exercise. Shift forward into your plank. Solidify the feet firm. Keep your hands nice and apart so that you have a wide foundation, and same with your feet. Now, tap your left shoulder with your right hand and release the hand back down. And tap your right shoulder with your left hand and release. And see if you can tap and tap for 5 without shifting so much side to side. 3, 2, 1. And extend back in downward dog, walking or floating forward into a forward fold. Slowly rise up. Arms reach overhead, breath in. And breath out, palms to heart space. Take that water bottle or block, place it in front of your left foot. Maybe drink it while you're at it. And see if you can, in these moments of pause, if you can recollect your energy so that it doesn't disperse. Yeah, and notice how you do that. The body, like you start to know how to do that. You just close your eyes, feel the feet on the ground, and collect yourself back into the body. Good. And once we're collected, we can start to come into a balance on the right leg. Yes. Left leg. Sorry. Yes. I was like, something doesn't feel right here. And when you lift your right knee up, establish that ground before twisting. And I say establish the ground because if your roots aren't firm, you're going to get kind of blown away by life in general. So we gotta keep our roots firm in the ground. Coming back through to find that Ardha Chandrasana half moon, nice and slow, elongation of the right leg, hand comes to the block. stacking of the hips. And breathe for 3, 2, 1. Land and switch legs to find warrior 2 facing the other side. And coming into your triangle pose once you get there. Notice the attachment points of the hamstring behind the knee, sits bones, micro bend a little. And try to find the middle in the pose so you're not overly efforting or collapsing. One more in breath. And on the out, rise. Come back into your goddess pose, heels in, toes out. Now take a mudra where the fingertips are touching, but the palms are away from each other. And notice the connection of every single finger to one another. And close your eyes again. Notice the energy exchange between the hand and the heart. And see if you can maintain a soothing, even breath despite the discomfort in this holding. Three more breaths. One more. Rise, turn towards me, and let there be this moment of solidifying those feet firm into the ground for Parshvottanasana. Get both feet facing forward, hip distance apart, and actively hinge from the hips. See if you can slowly come into that revolved triangle, mindfully shifting your weight in that front leg, setting up any support system that you need. And first coming into it with the back leg raised, maybe staying here with the hips nicely aligned or twisting to your left. For 3, 2, and 1. Release the foot back down. Aha, now I remember what I forgot. Were you guys tracking? All right, slowly rise. You knew it was going to come eventually, right? The dancer pose. I knew something was off. Let's do the dancer pose. Problem is, which? Left. Let's come into the right leg and bend the left knee, right? Am I right? All right. Extend through the right arm and hug in towards the center. Quad nice and long, knee down. Now I want you to tuck your tailbone under before beginning to hinge for dancer. And press back equally. Nice. For 3, 2, and 1. Now we're even. All right, let's shake it up. Shake, shake, shake. Shake the wrists a little. We did a lot of balance. Bounce up and down. Shake the wrists a little bit more. Good. And let's slowly come on down onto the ground in a seated position. If you want another drink of water, take it. So we'll take our time to find a Baddha Konasana in a seated position. Soles of the feet come together as knees separate. Your hands can stack behind you to find a long spine and just work on a hip opener here. It can be as simple as that. Some of you who are super bendy might want to hinge forward because it feels better. And it just is a hip opener, so the hinging forward is only going to make it more intense. If you're feeling plenty here, there's no need to. And just let your sits bones kind of melt into the earth. And notice where you are efforting. And invite that tension to just release. So notice how when the tension is invited to release from the body, how there's just this like a bit more calm that happens in the mind. It's all connected. And it's such a beautiful tool to just learn how to let that tension go in the body. The ground is a beautiful resource. Nice. Elongate the left leg. Keep the right sole of the foot to the inner thigh. Here, Janu Shirshasana, you might activate those sits bones into the earth and hinge forward again for a hamstring stretch. Some of you might not like this and want to stay upright. Deep breath in. And a long breath out. And take your way slowly out of the pose to set up to the other side. However you get there is great. You're gonna continue to kind of take your time though to go into the full experience of the stretch. And what I mean by that is that before you even start to hinge forward, feel the activity of the heel into the ground, a micro bend in the right knee, and the heel is isometrically drawing back. The sits bones are firm, the spine is long, and you're only going to go to a degree where the spine can stay, pretty long starting from the hips. Good, and if you have a towel or any kind of something that can wrap around your foot, you can do that as well. One more in-breath. And with the out-breath, slowly rise out of the pose. Making your way onto your backs. As you arrive on your back, you're going to take your time to find this final pose with the reclined pigeon. And bending knees and crossing right ankle on top of left thigh. Going a little deeper, if you wish, by pulling the knee towards the chest. So you can firm up that lower back into the ground some more. Deep in-breath. And a long out-breath. Don't let me push you. Press against me. Good. And slowly switch legs. Keep your sacrum down on the ground. And slowly release and relax. Making your way into Shavasana. Letting the entire experience of the ground beneath you be felt. Recontacting the silence. Letting go into that silence. Fall into it. And imagine yourself as the ocean itself. And imagine yourself as the depth of the ocean itself. And notice all the activities at the surface of the ocean. But these activities don't have to interfere with who you are. I go into the dark, deep ocean. Feel into the fabric of your own experience, the fabric of your own existence as that depth. Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Sachidananda Murtaye Nishprapanchaya Shantaya Niralambaya Tejase Om Take a breath in and a breath out. Seeing if you can maintain a certain awareness, a somatic awareness of that deep, deep silence within the body, that deep stillness on a somatic, physiological level. As you begin to move again, you might decide to remain reclined as we close our practice together, or you might decide to roll over onto your side, to rest there for a few moments before rising up to seated. And just reconnecting the hands to the heart space. And we bring this gesture because or at least in my own experience, it's the heart and the gut that needs a little bit more development within us than the intellectual center, because we're just conditioned to be really going to our heads for answers. So just gonna bring your mind to your heart and to your belly to kind of get to know these two centers within you. Eventually, over time, there can be a coherence that gets established between the three, and one does not dominate over the other. Honoring the entirety of our being and offering the benefit of our practice to the whole of humanity, and to all animals, and to our planet. And we close together with the sound of Om. First, a cleansing breath. Inhale. Thank you so much for allowing me to teach you today. The spirit in me bows to the spirit in you. Namaste. I'd like to quickly announce our teacher training, One Voice, that's starting in October. It's a beautiful experience of self-inquiry, self-knowledge, deepening your yoga practice, even if you don't want to become a teacher. The journey is absolutely priceless, in my opinion. And so if you have any desire to find out more about it, or you would like to tell anyone else about it, you can go to onevoiceyoga.com. Thank you.